So Elizabeth, welcome to the podcast, and we're excited to have you on. We love the energy that you have in your recovery, what you do for us at Herren Wellness, and the example that we think that you can give to anyone out there at any stage of, struggle or recovery.
Well, thank you so much, Lori and Chris. I'm beyond excited to be here. I'll just start out with, I had zero intention of ever getting sober in my life. I didn't know people were sober. I didn't know you could be happy sober. I thought I was my best self when I was intoxicated, and I was so content that that's the way I was going to die. And that was like my top tier of existence. In terms of getting to Herren Wellness in the first place, like, honestly, the disease of addiction starts from a young age for me, and it's not with drinks or drugs. It's with, like, the fact that I was 5 years old and would have these uncontrollable temper tantrums. Like, I just remember my childhood door had, it, like, couldn't close all the way because I had slammed it so much. And
Big feelings.
Yeah, so many big feelings from a young age. And at the same time, I grew up oldest of four, parents still together, an amazing family. Like, I really wanted for nothing, but I just had this, like, negativity inside me that I didn't know how to control. And then you bring in a drink or a drug in the picture, and all of a sudden that feeling calms down a little. And all of a sudden I am the fun person. I'm the life of the party. I can talk to whoever I want. And I thought that's what was my superpower at the time. Like, I'm the fun person. I'll go wherever, I'll do whatever. And, like, we don't need to talk about anything other than the surface, other than anything that I want you to see, because that's not important. And, like, I convinced myself of that for a long time. And there were so many things I loved when I was younger that, like, as I grew up and went to college and eventually I went to college in New York City, then moved out west to Colorado, and, like, everything I love kind of, like, got pushed to the side because I loved the drink and the drug more. And when I got to Herren, it was like, that was still a moment in time where I had no intention of getting sober. I had broken my leg in a ski accident living in Colorado at the time, and my family had flown out. My family, who lives in Massachusetts, had flown out to kind of, like, help me out. I had surgery. I couldn't walk anything. And, like, at that point, it was like the gig was up, you know? There were bottles in my room. I was so depressed. I don't know how many people listening have dealt with, like, injury and mental health, but that, like, plays a big part in my story. You know, I couldn't even walk my dog, much less ski and do these things I loved. And it was just kind of felt like the bottom of the road. Like, I didn't know what to do with myself, but I knew that all I wanted to do was drink. And, like, for what reason? You know, I couldn't make excuses for myself in that moment anymore. There was no, like, party to go to, no friends to meet up with. Like, it was just me and, like, a pure craving, because at that point I was an alcoholic and I didn't even know it. And
I think that's really important, because, I mean, Chris speaks at schools all across the country, 1 million students. He spoke at our town school at Hingham High. And on the surface, like, what I know of you from back then, you were academically very bright. You went to NYU, beautiful family, saw your family. The smiles of the Crotos is, like, contagious. And when I remember speaking to you on the phone when you were in Colorado, and there was zero talk of alcohol. It was very much like an internal breakdown of some kind, or that your parents were really concerned about you, and I think that that's just so common. I think it's so common in the 20s, and actually it's common for, I guess, anybody that's entering, like, this phase of treatment recovery, but especially for people in their 20s, it's very hard to really relate alcohol or drugs to the feeling of, like, realizing that is so much more important than everything else that you're doing. And so I know that when you first got to Herren, you were not a happy camper. And not a happy camper.
Of the century.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was, but I think that I don't say that like you weren't a happy I say it because I understood it.
Mm.
You know, I could understand why you didn't feel like, I don't think I belong here.
What was that window of time that you left and then came back?
It was 4 days,
Yeah. What brought you back?
maybe 6. I someone or something up there was looking out for me.
Mm.
I don't have a better answer than that.
Mm.
But I will say, my first 2 weeks at Herren, when I knew I didn't want to be there, and like no one was like beating me down for saying I wasn't an alcoholic, even though everyone knew I was. Like it was just kind of, they let me exist, and like I just heard the message. Like you can't not hear the message. I will never forget the day we were sitting. It was actually like a 1:30 group, and we read the doctor's opinion for the first time, and that's when I knew.
Wow.
This part in the big book, I felt like I had been waiting for 25 years to figure out how I felt and why. And in 30 seconds, I just read it on a page written by someone else. And it was like, they say like Alcoholics Anonymous ruins drinking for you. And like right then and there, it was ruined, you know? And I just remember, but I was so stubborn. I wanted to leave so badly. And I didn't want to be wrong. Like I couldn't, like my mom driving me home that first night and thinking, like, what if I actually tried to stay sober? What if I did this? And later that night, I asked my mom to borrow the car to go to CVS to get makeup wipes. Somehow, like, what in my mind, the disease in my mind made me go to Stop and Shop instead of CVS. 10 minutes later, I'm walking out with a handle. And looking back, it's like I had no defense against the first drink. Like I had no tools to stay sober, but like that's how little control I had. And like that took me on like that like one handle I picked up started like my absolute rock bottom. Like the worst 4 days of my life, which is like takes me with a broken leg and a rental car, driving across the country, trying to like family not talking to me, all this stuff. And then one morning, like I woke up and this is why I say it's like something out there looking out for me, because this is just not something that Elizabeth would have done ever. But like I called my mom and I was like, I need to do it. I'm driving back right now. And I didn't have a drink that day, and I just didn't even listen to music. I drove 9 hours straight back to Massachusetts. And like it's almost like I didn't even know what was happening. Like I was just like, I knew I had to do it. And then of course I got home and my dad's like, all right, get in the car right now. We're not, no more changing any minds. And I'm like, wait, it's going to be awkward. Now I know like it's okay to go back to treatment. It's okay to try again. But that was the night I got there. So since then, I think it was like, I just remember like HOW, honest, open, and willing. And like I was done. I nothing I had tried for myself had worked until then. And I was like, if I'm gonna do this, like everyone tell me how. And I found that at Herren Wellness.
Yeah, you really did. You were all in. And again, it was such a stark change, but that's great. You know, that moment of clarity that you had that Elizabeth didn't have before, life-changing.
I mean, honestly, in 8 years, I've never seen a change so profound.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
it was incredible to see the Elizabeth walk in 4 or 6 days later. And that's why I was interested in, like, where was that shift? But the doctor's opinion.
1000%. But
Yeah.
also, like, I don't even, like, that was the moment where I knew I was an alcoholic. But I don't think, like, the shift of deciding to get sober was, like, really like a 180 moment.
Sure.
Like it was the culmination of 2 weeks of just like being around this information that like people can get sober, young people, old people, people's parents who I knew, people's grandparents, like any age, and like you can get through this. And like I just wasn't even aware of that side of existence. And I feel like it's all those pieces. Like I had to like collect that data, and Herren gave it to me that like you can live a sober life, and like it's hard work, but you have a community. Like you can do this if you choose.
It's the doctor's opinion opened the door, and that opened up your interest, curiosity into, wow, this is possible. And I think that's true. It can be true for everybody. You just need to open the door and like be open-minded and willing. And you were. And so since then, it's been how many years?
2.5
Yep.
years. Yeah.
2.5
just
years.
over.
And so with that, like the challenges, like being a young person in recovery. I mean, your friend group growing up and in college, out in Colorado, that changes. Did it change for you? What was that? What are the challenges of being fairly young in recovery? Like how do you show up in the world in that culture?
Totally. And I will say, I feel really lucky. Like, I do feel like, and I don't know if it's just because now I got sober, so my Instagram feed looks different, but like, I think a lot less people are drinking now too. Like, it's, like, I guess binge drinking isn't maybe as glorified as it was 5 years ago when I was in college. But I will say, I had to make some pretty serious changes to my life, all of which were for the better. I For the first year of my sobriety, I did everything everyone told me to, and I surrounded myself by people in recovery. I had to stay in the middle of the pack. It wasn't like I was just closed off to the world. Like, my world opened up because I did that tenfold. I met the most amazing people of all ages, doing what I was doing, going to meetings, going to sober activities, like getting coffee. And so the amount of like my friends from my past life who I was able to reconnect with in the most genuine way, like more so than any conversation I had had with them out at the bar or like at 2 a.m., like doing whatever. It was like probably the most rewarding year of my life in terms of like building back up relationships. And there was definitely times of like Friday and Saturday night, like, oh, that like itch inside where it's like I kind of like felt like a loser, like why am I not going out and doing things? But it was those moments where I was like, all right, what can I do now? What can I do? Since since getting sober, I've gotten so into running, and it's just become another like huge just love of my life and something I love to do and really important. But it's like I get to wake up early. I'm in a sober run club. I get to like connect with other like-minded people. Like, for a long time, I thought like my like-minded people were the people drinking and drugging the way I wanted to. And now like I have the chance to look at myself and look at my passions and like who I want to be around and find people in those avenues. So it was definitely like a big 180 of my social life. But it was incredible. And then like with time and honestly reps of days and nights being sober, like now I can go out to a bar and hang out with my friends. Now I can go to the wedding and not freak out. But because I have like all these people on my side who I can call and I know where to go if I'm like feeling a little iffy or anything. So it's really just like taking that time and it feels like the world's unfolded.
Being an athlete my whole life, I knew the importance of having a core group of people around me and wanting to play and compete at a high level with the best. So, in Alcoholics Anonymous, sponsorship is critical, but I also want to kind of tee up for our guests to get 5 people in their life that they can kind of walk through early recovery with.
I just can't even imagine trying to do this alone. And there are so many people. It was like my starting 5, I lucked out. I had like a starting 20.
Yeah,
like
you did.
that
It's
group at
beautiful.
Herren Wellness, I got sober with people who were so committed to it gave up our lives for 3 months and like eat, live, breathe sobriety.
I think that the beauty of Herren Wellness, I mean, so many things, obviously, that I think, but the alumni, people come into our program, and you're not just in with people that just started. So the opportunity to meet with all different lengths of sobriety with the alumni on Wednesday nights or in our Zooms or painting or visiting, they bring their recovery to us. They bring their recovery to the guests that are currently there, and it's special.
Totally.
And very meaningful. Yeah.
One of the most beautiful examples of like the give and take of the program that I've ever seen. Like there was months where I had to take, like I knew nothing. I needed to see these sober people take time out of their days to come back to their recovery center and be sober and talk about it and be around it. And then like flash forward now, like the fact that I get to do that is just something I'm beyond grateful for. And like I just think about how unsure I was walking in there about sobriety, about sleeping in this random place, about talking to a therapist about my real feelings, like all of it. Like I just like, if anything, to be like with the walking proof that like you're gonna be okay. Like I think it's just so special to me that Herren has that.
I think that's the most important message for here is there's so many people out there struggling and they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to put that first step forward. And a lot of times it's pressure, right? I mean, pressure from your family to actually do something. We all have the pressure but it's once it becomes yours or ours or mine, it's like defining.
Now you got sober at 24, right? Um, how did it change like your family? What did it do for your siblings, your mom and your dad?
My family and our relationships, it's like night and day. 2.5 years later to now. They call it the CIA, the Catholic Irish Alcoholics. But that being said, neither of my parents were are alcoholics, but it runs in our family. Like all my grandparents were, and it kind of became this thing that like out of pure love, my parents like didn't want to bring to this generation. So we didn't talk about it. And there was just so much to learn about like ways to communicate emotions and like sure it's like we don't regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it, you know, like we had to go through things of the past, but like a big part of the healing process and like the family therapy at Herren Wellness is really what changed it all. Like being not forced, but like all sitting in a room and like being prompted with these questions from like times where we just never hashed out as a family is kind of like what set us on this incredible journey of like actually communicating now and like working through different things. And like I'm so grateful. I'm like super open about my recovery in our family. Like my parents don't keep alcohol in the house, and that's like something I honestly really appreciate, you know. And like since we've been able to kind of open this world of recovery and sobriety in the family, I have a younger brother who's just turned 21 and he's coming up on 2 years sober now too. And man, I'll never forget the day he called me from college. And I was just over a year sober, and it was his call, you know. He was struggling and he needed help, and he said, I need to go to Herren. Because of like me having this opportunity, he knew where to go. And he knew it would be okay, you know. And it was just like absolutely incredible. And like my family has always been welcome there, and like so we got to experience this healing journey almost like twice over. And I have 2 other siblings too who have just gotten the chance to like not only watch and be an integral part of this journey because of like how the involvement at Herren Wellness, but also just like don't have to live a life where they're constantly stressed about what their siblings are doing all the time, and like taking on that baggage of like anger and resentment and whatever came with like drinking, you know. So our family is just in like such an amazing place because of this. It like makes me tear up actually. It's so
Your
I'm
family's
grateful.
incredibly
Special.
impressive
Yeah.
and amazing, and they did embrace this recovery, and they wanted to learn, and they were present as much as, you know, as much as anybody. Like I don't think they ever missed a family support group or a chance and an opportunity to learn. Like your parents they kind of were like you walked in and your mind opened, you heard something, and the same thing happened for them. And I remember when your brother arrived and we were sitting in the office, and I said, what was it? Like, what was it? And he said, my sister. The way, like, her life and how happy she is. he said, I know it's possible. And so the change he saw in you, I mean, inspired him so young to come in and do the same thing. And yeah, your family's pretty remarkable family.
I haven't witnessed many young adults live recovery the way Elizabeth has lived recovery. Like it just oozes out of her in every facet of her life. And that's why it's so amazing, right? Like the miracle that we're able to witness. And like you're one of them. And we're so blessed to have witnessed you and your brother. Now, let me ask you this. I have envy for people who get sober early, right? I had a lot of pain in those years. And if you could sit down with 18-year-old Elizabeth, what would you tell her?
Whoa. I think the number one thing I would say is like grab my own shoulders and say it's okay to ask for help. I was so convinced, I was so caught up in my own misery, or almost like denying my own misery, that I was so determined to like go through life and prove that I could be fine. And like it kind of happened in my active addiction, you know, like I got the job, I had friends, I moved, like I was so content or like determined to keep this outer layer looking okay to the outside world, when like I was dying inside. And like I didn't realize that my only cure to that like just became alcohol. And like if I had just known that like I could ask for help, not even for drinking or drugs, but for just not feeling okay inside. And like I didn't have to feel that way at age 18 and like feel comfortable talking to other people. Because I think that's where it started, you know? Like, I was so uncomfortable with myself, and I didn't know how to fix it.
You know, I just think it's a superpower. You know, what you have and what you've given yourself and the work you've put in is, it's priceless. It's a superpower. And I've been doing this a long time, you know, not as long as Lori, but I can honestly say that I haven't felt a young adult walk through this process the way you've walked through it, and the way you live it, and the way you give it. I mean, every part of your life, you're leading with recovery.
Like, I just am beyond grateful, because like the things that get me through my life 2.5 years later today are the things I learned like in the first 3 weeks at Herren Wellness. And like it doesn't change, you know, like the information that's out there, and like the resources and the people, like I had to change like because of it in the best way. And I feel like just this one, the most like the thing that's helped me most in my recovery was this one line from my therapist at Herren. And I walked in just so convinced that I was a bad person. Like I was the black sheep of the family. No one else is like this. No one else has to do this at a young age. Like this is insane of me. And I feel like I've hurt so many people, and I didn't know why, because I didn't want to be that person. And she told me that there's a difference between being selfish and being self-centered. And a self-centered person will be at a party in a room full of people, and there's a plate with one cookie left on it, and that person won't even see the other people. They'll just take the cookie. Like they don't see what's going on around them. And a selfish person will see all the people and consciously take the cookie. And like and like it helped tell me understand, like I was self-centered. I didn't see how I was making other people feel. I didn't see how I was hurting my family. I didn't see how I was ruining relationships, because I was so stuck in my own head and trying to prove that everything was okay. And I think of that at least 3 times a day. Like 1, because I don't have to be that way anymore. But 2, because like I have to tell myself that like it's okay that happened. Like I didn't have the tools at the time.
Right.
And like I just can't, I honestly have thought about that every day for the past 2 years. And it's like those little things from like this time at Herren, like the therapy that like have fueled this life I live today. Like I I mean, it's kind of been said already, but like, I can't do this alone. I didn't do this alone, and I won't do it alone for like the time to come. I laugh. I always, like, when I was younger, I always said to my parents, I was like, I just want to be in one of those secret societies. And like, lo
You're
and
it.
behold, it's Alcoholics Anonymous. They were like, you made it.
Exactly. It's the
But-
best club in the world
Yeah.
for me. You know, the recovery club is the best club.
Totally.
You say all the time, lead with recovery.
She does. I mean,
Yeah.
she sings it, she runs it,
Yeah.
she loves it. I mean, everything
yeah.
about her life,
Yeah.
I see recovery chasing.
Yes.
You know, so it's
And your family is just,
well, that's
they're
what I was
just
gonna
all
say.
in.
Yeah, I think the shift that I've seen. There's a picture of you celebrating, and it's like right near Christmas, right? I mean, December 22nd is your date. But I see the Crotos,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like
Everyone's together.
yes, and like
Yeah.
that's not like they're celebrating it. You know,
Yeah.
where families used to run away from it.
Yes.
Today,
Yep.
you know, it's worth celebrating.
Yeah.
It deserves celebrating.
Celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am beyond grateful to be here, not only on this podcast, but here today as a sober woman, as a sober 26-year-old. And if there's one thing that I can get across is that like young people can do it, and anyone can do it for that matter. And my life is so much better today because of it, because of Herren Wellness. And I am just so endlessly grateful.
We're grateful for you and all you do for us.
It's beautiful.